Welcome everybody. Thank you all for joining us today. It's 3:00 on the dot, and as promised, we're going to get started with our amazing fireside chat with Nikki Upshaw, VP of Oceania Cruises. And I'm going to do some proper introductions in just a minute because I know that I probably screwed that title up. But hold on.
You're good.
Do this spotlight Nikki. She's the pretty one. And then I'll spotlight the ugly one, and we will we'll get started. So again, thank you all very much for joining us today. Today is a very exciting day because we have Nikki Upshaw with us. We will do proper introductions in just a second. Today, we're going to be talking about Oceania and everything that we need to know and want to ask about Oceania. So a couple of very quick housekeeping items before we get started. I need you guys to know that today is not a presentation. Today is a conversation. And that means that we want a lot of engagement. Okay. We want to hear from all of you guys. We want to hear your voices. We want to hear your questions. We want to make sure you participate. So we do have a little bit of a set of questions that we've prepared that I want to ask Nikki and have Nikki answer for all of us. And then at the end, we are going to have a little bit of a less scripted Q&A session where I want you guys to put Nikki on the spot, to put all of us on the spot and ask whatever hard question you have. If you ask us to change an itinerary from Mumbai to Dubai, and if you can make it happen, trust me, she will make it happen. But most importantly, I want you guys to feel at home. I want you guys to feel as you know, as you're with family. So while most presentations that you probably attend to might be very restrictive and might ask you to like hold your questions till the end, yes, you can. Yes, you can type your questions in the chat box and we can ask all of them at the end. But if there's something that you want us to dig more into, or you have questions about something that we're talking about that you don't think it's okay for us to wait all the way till the end to bring it back, feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand, and we'll be happy to stop for a second and get those questions answered. So the chat box, that little icon at the bottom, right center bottom of your screen, I'm going to type hello. You probably see it pop up right now. That's where you would also type any questions, and we can also kind of make sure that we don't miss any of them, and we read all of them at the end as well. Denise here, you probably see her on the screen. She is the marketing manager. She's going to help me make sure everybody is muted so that we can make this comfortable for everybody. But again, if you have anything pressing that you want to ask, feel free to unmute and go ahead and ask.
Or raise your hand.
We expect to have probably close to 60 people within the next, I guess, 4 to 5 minutes. But we are going to go ahead and get started with our Q&A session. So, and by the way, also, before I forget, throughout the event, we're going to want to know who we're talking to and who's attending. So there's going to be some questions that we're going to be just like this one. Have you sailed with Oceania before? Okay. So we want to know whether or not you've sailed with Oceania, and then we'll be happy to also share these answers with all of the audience as we go, so that you also know who's here and who's not. So some of these questions are going to come up throughout the presentation or throughout the conversation. Just go ahead and answer. The little pop-up will go away. So for example, for this question, have you sailed with Oceania before? 56% of you have already answered, and only 40% of you have 39% of you have, 51% of you have never sailed with Oceania before. That is actually very exciting because that's everybody, both of you will find this conversation very interesting. Those that have sailed with Oceania before, but those that haven't will have an opportunity to ask everything that you want to know and get to really understand whether or not Oceania is the right cruise for you. So very much looking forward to it. So without any further ado, again, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. Nikki, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here with everyone. And as you said, we love our Oceania family. So the 40% that have sailed with us, thank you. And we hope you're going to sail again. And then for those that are getting to know us, it's exciting. I love sharing our story.
Excellent. Nikki, so just so that everybody knows who you are, can you please introduce yourself?
Okay, I am the Senior Vice President of Sales for the Americas for Oceania, and I've been with the company for 11 years. Can't believe it sometimes. It's gone by quickly. Lots of change in those 11 years. We've added Riviera and Marina, our two Oceania class ships. And I'm originally from Panama, as Carlos knows, but I've lived in the United States and in Miami area for most of my life. I love chaotic, wonderful, diverse Miami. And as I said, I manage sales and our trade marketing for North and South America for Oceania. I'd be remiss, although you just asked for me to introduce myself, but I have been in this industry for over 30 years. I'm going to leave it at that, because if not, if I get into the actual year, I feel really old. But I've always been not only a believer, but a champion of our travel agency community, because I think that the only way to travel is to use an advisor. But on top of that, I said to Carlos, and I'm not just saying it because he's asked me to be here, but to use a travel advisor, to work with a travel advisor that is knowledgeable, that is trusted, and that knows the brand you want to sail on. So the Luxury Cruise Connections team is incredible, creative and responsive, and they've been a huge partner of ours. So thank you, Carlos, and your team. But for everyone on here, you're in very, very good hands, for sure.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. And for those that don't know me, I'm the CEO of Luxury Cruise Connections. And to kind of answer Robert's question, Luxury Cruise Connections, we're a full service luxury cruise agency, full service agency. We do focus on cruises in this part of our company. We've been around as a brand for about 11 years, as a company, as part of a bigger organization that we're part of, about 40 years around. We have done business with Oceania for as long as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why we continue to do so and do so successfully, Robert, just so you know, and for everybody to know, so as a cruise agency, we partner with Oceania so that we can enhance the experience for planning your next Oceania cruise. We work together for many years in creating the most amazing trips for our clients on board Oceania. And that's what we focus on. We focus on making clients' dreams come true. And the reason why we work with Oceania for so many years is because they really represent the same values that we as a company represent. They're all about service. They're all about making clients happy. They're all about exceeding expectations. They're all about luxury. They're all about just creating amazing memories. And for us as a travel company, it really serves us well to put our clients on product that we know they're going to like, we know they're going to enjoy, because when they come back, they want to book again and they want to refer friends. So Oceania is one of our preferred partners, probably one of our top cruise lines that we book, for many years now, and it's one that we recommend with our eyes closed to basically everybody that is the right fit for it, of course, because we know that they're going to have an incredible experience. We can answer Robert's question before we even get started.
I can answer that question. No, it's not better to work with us. Truly, I mean that, no, and I'll tell you the reasons why. The first is, yes, just like every company, we do have a team that if you wanted to call, will book your Oceania cruise. But that team knows Oceania really well, of course, because they work for Oceania, but they don't know the world as well as a Luxury Cruise Connections advisor would, and they don't necessarily have access to, if you wanted to look at different hotel programs or pre and post land or excursions, they also actually don't have special offers. And we empower our travel partners and Luxury Cruise Connections with special offers all the time, like the one you're going to receive today for being part of this event. So we actually very much believe that our success is based on our support of the travel agency community. And so we have a very hard line that we'll never have a price direct with Oceania that's ever better than the travel partner. And actually, like I said, the travel partner usually has even a higher, value add or incentive to offer you. So I would wholeheartedly say that it's an option, yes, but it's not going to be your best option to book with us.
Nikki, thank you so much. What an amazing endorsement. Thank you very much. That's it for me.
Now you better, I know you guys can live up to it. You do it every day. You do so well for us, and
Thank you
everyone's
so much.
happy with, as you said, the service, the creativity. It's fantastic.
Thank you very, very much. So, and just so you all know, those that are typing your questions in the chat, I will get to all of those questions very soon. I will make sure I won't forget any single question. Okay. So, all right. So let's get this party started. So, Nikki, let's talk about Oceania. Let's talk about yeah. I mean,
Beautiful ship.
yeah, I mean, let's talk about the beautiful ship, but let's I want to I want to understand your the slogan for Oceania, your world, your way. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, so our tagline, and we're celebrating our 20-year anniversary next year. So very exciting, our little company turning 20. And from the very beginning, we realized that what guests want at our level of luxury is choice. And you want to sail where you want to sail. You want to, as you're traveling, you want to do it your way, so your world, your way became our tagline to just signify everything. So for example, on board, you dine with whom you want to, when you want to, open dining, no fees for our specialty restaurants. As far as choice, a lot of luxury lines include everything, and there is a beauty to that. But we have taken the decision that we don't include everything. We include quite a bit, and we'll talk about value later on, but not everything, because then your choice might be that you don't really care very much for having someone tell you which excursions to take, but you want to choose your own based on your passion points and what you like to do. Liquor, for example, you don't want to have to pay for, or subsidized liquor because you don't drink as much, or you don't want your choice. So there's a flexibility with Oceania in everything we do, which I believe really serves well to a luxury clientele.
So, and by the way, that to me goes very much in hand with what luxury really is, right? Choice is what luxury travelers are looking for. So, tell us a little bit about the pillars of distinction of Oceania. Why do guests love Oceania so much?
Well, those of you that have sailed with us, and I know there's about 40%, hopefully you would agree with this. We really hang our hat on, well, I'd like to believe we do everything well, but you can't be everything to all people, right? And if you try to do everything well, then something gives. So we've really honed in on 3 areas. Our first, I would say, is our culinary. And I know there are so many wonderful cruise lines out there, and they all talk about their cuisine. But for me, why we're voted, the cruise line for foodies and the finest cuisine at sea is that we consistently offer just extraordinary dining. And it's not just the indulgent, really, let's call it, heavier food. It's also like lighter plant-based cuisine, lighter food. So it's choice, back to choice. We have so many different options. From our, red ginger Asian to our Toscana Italian to during the day, Wade's Grill, wagyu beef burgers, or cold, juice, pressed juices to shakes to etc. But I would say that it's our investment in the actual ingredients, and we pride ourselves on spending more on our ingredients, because anyone that's out there that's a chef or a cook knows that at the end of the day, it has to start with something that's good quality to make good cuisine. And the ambiance, right? That each one of our restaurants has its own particular ambiance and flair. But besides food, which of course is important, and dining on board, but it's our ships themselves. So I have a picture here of Vista, which will be our new ship we launch next year. But I feel like our ships, they're a home away from home because it's a residential design. We look at granite and stone and natural woods, and then artwork, $1 million art hanging on the walls that you might find in a beautiful home. So it's, you feel like you're not in a call it, just kind of let's call it sterile environment. It has both flair and design that's warm and inviting. But overall, our ships are smaller, so we can get into great ports of call, and they're also very casual, country club casual. So honestly, the country club casual approach means not only your attire is casual, but it's very informal, not stuffy. You know, it's just very, very, you know, again, welcoming. And then, so food, ships, beautiful ships, luxurious ships, with a comfort feel, and then where we travel. And so, you know, voyages that are from 7 days to 180 days, but it's, again, so many ships or so many options out there of how to travel, but we stay in port longer, we go to boutique ports, we rarely repeat ports of call, we overnight in ports. And so we feel like we have a voyage and destination experience that's really unique. And so that those three things kind of, I think, are the real hallmarks for us.
The real pillars.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And the truth is, guests do love it. I mean, I can tell you that, you know, after so many years of doing this and having thousands and thousands of guests going on board your ships and coming back, they just come raving about it and they love the experience. And that experience is just about to get even better with the introduction of the new Vista, which is the first of your Allura class, correct?
Correct. So we have 6 ships, you know, 4 of which are 650 guests, and then 2 which are 1,200, just under 12, just over 1,200 guests, Riviera Marina. And so it's been a long time coming. Vista will launch next year, and that's our first ship, new ship in 10 years. So we're all like, so excited.
How many guests?
1,200 guests as well, which for some of you might sound big, but our ships are very spacious. So it's actually almost a 60,000 ton ship for 1,200 guests. You have a lot of room, you know, a lot of space. There's not lines or queues, etc. And yes, I think someone in the chat was saying this is a rendering of our grand dining room on board Vista that you see behind me. So she'll just be incredibly elegant, but again, it's that elegance doesn't come with to being overly stuffy or formal. You know, I think that's what sets us apart too, is that there's just like this comfort of feeling when you're sailing with us.
And I have a short video on the Vista that I'm gonna share with everybody. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Excellent. So let's see.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Wow, I want to go.
For sure.
I want to go. Oh my God, what a beautiful ship. What a beautiful
It's
ship.
interesting because our ships are beautiful, and those again that have sailed know this, but we feel like we really, those that come sail with us, yes, the ship is important, but it's really about destination. We're very port intensive because the reason you travel, is to see the destination. So we know that it needs to be comfortable on board, but it's really about, you know, the world that you're experiencing. And I will say the exciting thing about, well, many exciting things about Vista, but we're also going to have her in Europe when she launches next year. But then in the Caribbean early 2024, which is easy access to those that might want to just jump on for a quick getaway.
Amazing, amazing. Very much looking forward to it. So let's do a quick recap on the fleet. So we got the regatta class, which is your I guess what do you call the R class ship, right? Which is your first the first ships that Oceania ever had. Let's talk about the size of those ships and a little bit about what's going on those.
So yeah, so those 4 ships are all fairly similar. Regatta, we have Regatta, Nautica, Insignia, and Sirena. Sirena is slightly different because we added a different restaurant concept, but besides that, very similar. And, it's interesting because, and I know you know this, Carlos, and your team, but we're very deliberate as a company. I know I've seen the chat, you know that we're part of Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings and Norwegian Cruise Line Regent and Oceania. One of the hallmarks for our chairman and for our company is that we always want to invest in the fleet. And so we invested over $150 million on those 4 ships right before the pandemic. And then they weren't sailing for a while. So they're really like better than new if you walk on board. Then we also Riviera and Marina. And I'm sorry, let's stay with those ships for a moment. What makes them so special is that they're, to me, the perfect size because they're big enough to offer you 4 restaurant concepts, different lounges, entertainment venues, our theater, our Horizon Club, then intimate enough that that you can get from place A to B quickly. So it's a really great alternative for some that have sailed on huge ships that are tired of having to, plan ahead by 10 minutes to get to someplace. But then the size allows us to dock into so many unique ports of call that are shut out. For example, Regatta class can dock in Fusina in Venice, whereas so many ships now with some of the Venice stipulations can't actually dock right in Venice. You have to dock like our larger ships, Riviera and Marina in Trieste, which is still a lovely port and town, but you have to then make 2 hours back in, right? So smaller ship gives you that advantage of destination, experience. And it probably goes without saying, but what the nice thing about smaller ships is that when you do go to port, you're off in like 10, 15 minutes, unlike huge ships where it might take you an hour or planning ahead or to be able to, get off the ship. And so that's a luxury in and of itself, luxury of time that comes back into it. That's a little snippet of Regatta. And then Marina and Riviera are the Oceania class, right? And those we built, purpose-built for Oceania in 2011 and 12. And again, you all might be saying, okay, wait, now those ships are 10 or 11 years old, but Riviera, as we speak, is going into a dry dock, taken down to the studs, and everything will be refreshed. Because the last thing we want is someone that comes on Vista and falls in love with our new ship to then go on another Oceania ship and go, wait a second, what's going on here, right? So we need to elevate our entire experience to make sure it just feels right to go from ship to ship, and the lighter color palettes, the airier, kind of motif, all
higher ceilings too. The higher ceilings, bigger spaces, bigger bathrooms. When you guys built the O class ships, they were already very forward thinking, I guess. You already understood what was the next generation of ships in the industry, and like you said, it could be 10, 11 years old, but you can put them next to, after the refurbishment, you can put it next to any other ship and you won't even notice.
Yeah. You mentioned bathrooms, and what we're doing with Riviera now is realizing, things change, taking out the tubs, not of everything. So some people really like the, baths and bathtubs, but in many of the staterooms, and then building out a large, shower, rainfall shower, and that back to, making sure that we stay modern and we stay with what today's luxury traveler would like.
Absolutely. Harold, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah, you were, Nikki hit the spot. With regard to the bathrooms, when they renovate the ships, they don't necessarily always renovate the bathrooms. It's usually the other areas of the ships, because it's a very costly thing to renovate a bathroom. So my question to you, Nikki, is that my wife, for medical reasons, has to have a bath with a hand shower. So we are, I think somehow if you can taper the request, like I like the destination, she likes what's on the ship, but it's difficult to put it together. what is the best way to do that? To say, look, we want to go here, but we want to ship with this. We want a ship that's got a bath, got a hand shower, and is going here. And it's very difficult, complicated to find that out. Maybe there's some sort of, computer thing where you can put in your requirements and zaps out with that's what you got.
Well, I will absolutely. I know that we'll still have, we are, to your point, it is very costly to redo bathrooms, and that's why a lot of times companies don't, but we are redoing all of the tile work, all of the granite, the marble, the mirrors, again, the showers. I will find out because I don't know off the top of my head, and I'm not going to, I would never answer something I don't know the answer to unless I know it accurately. So with the bathtubs, if our bathtub will also have a handle, I can't imagine it wouldn't, but I'll find that out for you. And then it'll be up to the Luxury Cruise Connections team to find the right itinerary for you. How's that?
Right. And then the second question, if I may just ask you, why do they use the older ships for the longer cruises?
Well, we do have Grand Voyage.
There's no question you do. The new ships stay in the Caribbean, they stay close to home, and they use the older ships for the world cruises and all the other cruises. Why is that? Why can't you get a nice new ship to go on a special? Hey guys, we're going on a world cruise with a new ship.
Well, I will answer two ways. The first is that the Insignia, which you're right, has been our ship that's done the around the world since we started them in 2015. And the main reason for that is, well, there's two reasons. Number one, what I just mentioned is that we have a 180-day around the world voyage. We feel that the 180-day around the world voyage is quite special because we can overnight in lots of places to give you more time in port, but then go to special places, which not that the larger ships wouldn't be able to do, but not the same way. But I'll tell you that in 2026, around the world right now, we're in conversations to have Marina, you heard it here first, to have Marina be the ship that does the around the world. You do have, and I don't know the number, but we definitely have grand voyages on the larger ships that are 60, 70, 80, 90 days in length. And again, we can get those to you. So even though it's not the full around the world, we do grand voyages with the Oceania class for sure.
Okay, thank you.
There's a really cool one, if I can. Sorry, Carlos, I'm going, rogue here, but one that has me really intrigued, which is a little bit of both worlds, Harold. We have in 2024, it's the regatta doing a circumnavigation of Australia. It's called the Ultimate Odyssey, 74 days. So you circumnavigate Australia. There's a gap of about 6 days. And then you fly to South America onto Marina and do around the Cape Horn, Patagonia, and you skirt Antarctica. So you have South America and Australia in one ultimate odyssey. The gap, you can decide to do an overland in Sydney with the Blue Mountains and all that, or you can fly to South America and do an overland in Patagonia into Buenos Aires and other places. Or of course, the Luxury Cruise Connections team can come up with something different in the gap. But it's bridging two continents, two different ships. It's just extraordinary. So you have 74 days looking at something special to do.
And thanks, Nikki. And just in conclusion, as we started off, Cape Town to Mumbai, and you've got 2 passengers immediately and another 2 who are prepared to go as well. So you've got 4 people already ready to go as soon as that becomes available.
I'm on it.
Thanks.
Thank you, Harold.
Thank you.
Excellent. So, okay, so going back to the Oceania class, beautiful ships, a little bit larger than the R class. They are going to be fully renovated. We're going to put them on those longer voyages very soon. And then that's the Marina and the regatta, the Marina and the Riviera. And then after that is when we have the Allura class. And that's the Vista class that we were talking about a few minutes ago. And can we talk about future Allura class ships yet or not yet?
We can. We have, so Vista will launch in next year, 23. And then the second Allura class ship will launch in 2025. Very similar, but I say very similar because the design plan will be very similar. And yet, whenever you launch a ship, you learn a little bit, right, of what to tweak, what to perfect, what to improve. So we'll take all of our past guests' information and suggestions and our travel partner suggestions and incorporate that into the next ship. But there's lots of things that are exciting about Vista, back to evolution, right? And one thing we're adding is some solo staterooms. So Vista, we offer solo staterooms now on our regatta class ships. So any of you that are on here with us that travel solo or have friends that travel solo. But then on Vista, we also have some dedicated solo staterooms. And if those run out, and Oceania class, Marine Riviera, then we also, offer solo single supplement rates on select sailings. But nicely appointed, and we do know that there is a certain number of our guests that do travel on their own. So this is a nice way to make that happen.
Yes, I can tell you that from our client list, we're seeing this more and more often being a request where we have single. Both ladies and gentlemen that want to travel solo and just don't want to pay that sometimes very expensive single supplement.
Right.
So this is an option that I understand that on the Vista class, I'm sorry, the Allura class, meaning on the Vista ship, there's even more of these that you're building.
Exactly. Yeah, we have 14 on regatta class, and then on Vista class we have about the same. And what's nice is they have, as you can see here, a veranda. A lot of times solo staterooms are, tucked away, either an inside stateroom. So here it's a true veranda stateroom on the concierge level. So you get all the concierge level amenities.
That's great. That's great because there's huge demand for it and growing. So beautiful. And so now let's talk about one of the things that makes you probably one of the most famous things about Oceania, which is your cuisine. Your celebrity chef with Oceania.
Yeah, Mr. Pepin.
Mr. Pepin.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about how his involvement and how he makes that culinary experience on board Oceania so special?
Yeah, and I talked about it a little bit before because again, it's sometimes, well, so many things are subjective, right? I like, I don't eat donuts. Someone is, if they don't have good donuts and they're very upset, right? Or I love, I'm a pescatarian, so I only have fish, but then, the carnivores need their polo grill. So I think that cuisine is sometimes a little tricky, but I will say for us, what we feel is that we meet every guest need based on the diversity of our cuisine. But to me, it's not just the food, although that's of course the most important. It's like, the quality of the food, the presentation, but it's how you feel when you're in any of our venues. And again, the guests that have sailed with us before, it's how you feel, how the dining experience, but it's also, the little touches, and it's a consistency, right? I mean, I think that, many companies have executive chefs, like we do. Our executive culinary chef is Jacques, but then they have, kind of celebrity chefs that drop in, and we feel like all of our chefs are celebrity chefs. They're Michelin star trained, many of them. We have more galley space than any other cruise line. We have a different galley for every restaurant, so that that if you're dining in Toscana, which is our Mediterranean Italian restaurant, the food is not going to taste the same, nor should it, as if you dined over in Red Ginger, our Asian restaurant. It should be completely unique. I talked about touch points. So you go into Toscana and you have a menu of olive oils, 13 different olive oils and 8 different balsamic vinegars to pair with them. And you'll have someone come around and you can do a tasting of the olive oils, and the vinegars, and you get your personal chopsticks and you go to Red Ginger, so just making sure that it feels not only luxurious, but special.
It's kind of like when you go to different restaurants in Miami or any city, right? Every single restaurant that you go to they source their own ingredients. They have their own fridge space, their own, everything is unique to that restaurant. What most people probably don't realize is on most ships will use the same galley, the same ingredients, the same even kitchen in most cases for 4 or 5 different restaurants. So it's hard to make each one of those restaurants a truly unique experience. In your case, each restaurant has its own entire kitchen and
staff, sous chef. So it's an investment that we make intentionally because we know that a lot of times, one of our hotel operations senior vice president says, we need our ships to look pretty, but no one's going to remember the color of the chair in Horizon, but they're going to remember the wonderful steak dinner they had in Polo Grill, right? So let's make that memorable. Something you said too, and I mentioned before, you know, the fact that yes, we have, you know, you can indulge, right? To me, the biggest indulgence is La Reserve, which is a six-course wine pairing menu. We also have a Dom Perignon wine pairing, champagne pairing menu, where the chef will take you through each course like you would in a Michelin star restaurant and describe also the notes of the wine you're having with that meal. So it's truly, again, once in a lifetime. Dom Perignon does not do this anywhere on land. They chose to partner with us to do it on Riviera and Marina. So it's one of those, you know, really just unique experiences. But I've kind of delved into like the indulgent side. We also, like I said, you know, we really know that there's a trend for plant-based cuisine. So we have over 200 menu items of plant-based cuisine. If you have any dietary restrictions, our chefs will work with you. And al fresco dining. So we have an outdoor pizzeria, terrace cafe. So it's options, it's quality, it's ambiance, it's that all, you know, comes into play. And we're revamping all of our drinks, our new mixology, you know, kind of menu. So all the way around, really quite spectacular.
That's incredible. I mean, I've definitely tasted it myself, and I can attest to the fact that it is quite unique. It is definitely one of the best culinary experiences at sea. So
Manny was this thing I should touch on Privé. If that's true. How could I ignore Privé? So we have Toscana, our Mediterranean restaurant, Polo Grill, which is our steakhouse, right? So to speak. Obviously, we serve other things. And in between the two, there's a private, probably almost hidden room that not everyone knows about. Seats 10 guests, 8 to 10 guests, and it overlooks the bow of the ship. I wish I should have had a photo of it, Carlos, so we could share with everyone. But you can reserve that. It's perfect for a special occasion, anniversary, or if you are traveling with 3 or 4 couples and you want to have a private dinner, or you meet people along the cruise and say, hey, let's book Privé. And you can choose from the Toscana menu or the Polo Grill menu, and mix and match in between. And so it's truly just once again, a unique but really special and intimate, you know, dining experience.
amazing. Thank you. And thank you, Manny, for that question. That's very much on point. Okay, so, and then moving on from your amazing culinary experience, let's talk about I guess the curated travel experiences that you deliver, and where, you know, what continents, what countries do you touch? Where do you go? And then while you share with that, I'm going to also pull up a map that I want to share with our audience.
Yeah. So Harold asked this, you know, which is a very good question, you know, in the sense of how do we decide which ship is deployed where, et cetera. And so we, with a fleet of 6 and soon to be 7, we basically cover the world. We actually have, we go to every continent. Now, again, I will say full disclosure, we don't do landings in Antarctica. We're not an expedition style company, but we do have our South America cruises that skirt, as I call it, skirt or cruise along, you know, the Antarctic waters. And so I say 7 days, which to me is pretty short, you know, to really feel like you unplug and get away from it all. But it's from 7 days all the way to 180 days. And again, close to home being Alaska, Canada, New England, certainly, I say close to home for those of you that are in the US or Canada, Alaska, Canada, New England, Bermuda, of course, the Caribbean, but we also do the canal and transit the canal with, you know, overnights in Panama. We actually then, of course, in South America, everything from the Amazon to I mentioned before, you know, the tip into Ushuaia. And I'm going to work on that Cape Town, Mumbai, but going over to, you know, to Asia and Africa. You know, Asia's still been a little bit tricky, you know, as far as protocols, but we typically have very successful, you know, Hong Kong to Bangkok itineraries, Hong Kong, Singapore, Japan circumnavigation, immersion into Japan, which sells out every year. And then, you know, it's certainly, of course, where usually 5 of our 6 ships is Europe for the summer season, and a long summer season, like April all the way through to November. Everything from Northern Europe to, you know, the Scandinavian ports to Eastern Mediterranean, Western Mediterranean, Israel. I think there was a question. Yes, we go to Israel. We overnight in Haifa. We go to, so you have time to get to Tel Aviv, you know, into Jerusalem, Holy Land. You know, we'll definitely go into India, and then some of our most popular have been Australia and New Zealand. You know, if you head into Australia and New Zealand, a circumnavigation of Australia, which actually sells out all the time, but then jumping into New Zealand as well, itineraries. So just about everywhere you can think of. I didn't mean to leave out Iceland and Greenland, but those cruises too. And what's, I would say, unique, and we touched on it before, is that 10-day or 12-day or 14-day cruise, which is wonderful, but we have a lot of grand voyages, and you know, Carlos and the team knows that you can couple together 2 or 3 sailings and you're rarely repeating a port of call. With Oceania, we don't do the back and forth over and over. We're constantly, you know, navigating through the world, which means that if you tie together 2 or 3 or 4 cruises, you are experiencing, you know, a different place every time. More time in port. So I mentioned that, you know, staying till 8 or 9 or 10 sometimes. So you have a little bit of time for an evening stroll, even dining off the ship instead of, you know, always on board. And those overnights, you know, for sure, you know, in major cities, need more time. So we pride ourselves. It's actually one of the things that excites me the most, in the sense that the reason we travel is to, you know, see new places or go back to the ones we love. And we just really take a lot of time to make sure we get it right. We really do. And then, you know, off the ship, right? I mean, there's so many ideas or opportunities of what to do off the ship.
So let's talk about that. Unless there's anything else about Grand Voyages that you want to point out. And we spoke about that amazing one between Australia, New Zealand, and South America. Is there any other Grand Voyage that you want to highlight?
Well, there's a New York round trip. So I think that sometimes I kind of go exotic with our Grand Voyages, which are wonderful. But I think if you're even looking for close to home, there's a New York round trip that's 51 days. So you know, yes, you'd have to fly to New York, but then it goes into all the way to Europe, into Iceland, Greenland, then to Northern Europe, and then back around. But all of our transoceanic sailings, if you look at all of our cruises going to and from Europe or from the West Coast to Asia, typically only have 3 or 4 days at sea, because we sprinkle in ports along the way. So if you love some days at sea, but don't want to necessarily, you know, you like to cross, right? Do an oceanic cruise, but you don't like to be at sea for 8, 9, 10 days at a time. We're really, we really have perfected that as well.
It's a great way to do it. Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Sure.
So you were starting to talk about what happens off ship. So your shore excursions, what's unique about it?
Well, back to your world, your way, right? So we're all different. I mean, I think we all share a passion for travel, or we wouldn't be on this call, right? We want to see the world. We want to do it, you know, our way. And so we decided that we wanted to create a lot of different excursions that meet like the passion points of our guests. So for example, culinary, which we talked about. A lot of times we attract guests that are really into the foodie scene. So we have culinary discovery tours that are smaller, you know, just 15, 16, you know, maybe most 20 guests, taking you into vineyards, taking you into private, you know, small restaurants to meet with a chef, olive vineyards as well. And then we also have definitely food and wine cruises, excursions that you can take part in. But wellness, right? If you want wellness, you're into our spa, our Aquamar spa. Off the ship, you can do yoga off the ship. We have agreements with some studios, meditation. There's a lot of different options off the ship, you know, as well, for wellness and well-being. We have one that I love because I was an art history minor. So there's one called Beyond Blueprints, where you can go into to different parts of the world and see it from an architect's point of view, and how they designed it and why they designed it a certain way. Our Go Locals, you know, I'd like to believe that everyone on this call has probably traveled a fair amount. And so you're like, this is the 3rd time I'm going somewhere, right? How about Go Local? And there's a local either artist or a local entrepreneur that takes you through their town, and you can see it through the lens of of their life versus, just I'm going to call it the tourist spot. So that's just a few, but we have so many others that to choose from that can give you the choice of what you're interested in.
That's good because sometimes sometimes you can't avoid a particular destination that you've already been a couple of times to, but there's definitely a completely different way to experience it, right? There's so many, how many times can you go to the same church, the same city, right? In your lifetime, it gets to a point where like, okay, I already been there, done that. Let me just feel like a local. So that's very cool. And now back to on board. Can you share with us a little bit about what's that life on board like? I mean, the small ship luxury difference. Can you share with us a little bit about that?
Sure. And I didn't get into, another part that I think is sometimes a little bit more challenging to describe just because it's a little bit intangible, but is our service, our service standards. And so we have, a very high, if you're 650 guests, we have almost 400 crew members looking after you. So a very high guest to staff, ratio, or high, low, whichever way you want to look at it. But it's, that anticipatory service, but I always say it's just warm and genuine. There's all kinds of service levels, but to me, they really do want you to be part of the family. And so many of our past guests look forward to seeing some of their crew members again because they've gotten to know so much about them, right? Really welcoming. And I talked about a little bit of staterooms in our design, but I get asked, okay, so what really happens on board, entertainment wise and all of that. So I've mentioned we're country club casual attire, never a formal night. You don't ever have to wear a tie, gentlemen. You can have a jacket on like Carlos has, but that's not even required, very casual. Because again, today's luxury world is about you doing you, in my mind, right? But the fact that we do have, daily, high tea, we do in the evenings, there's always some sort of entertainment, whether it's, a musician or a vocalist or a production show, dancing in the evenings. But I will say it's light entertainment, not, huge, like you might see on some of the larger contemporary ships. And that's intentional, partly because we don't have the space, I will say that, but partly because we are very port destination driven. And so we found that most of our guests want some action, some activity, but they're eager to make sure that they have that that energy to get out and the next day, tour and explore. So there's a nice energy on board, but the entertainment isn't the maybe 2, 3 in the morning kind of. And I like to say that just because I don't want to disappoint someone that's looking for that. Oceania, I say that, and sometimes people have been out till 2 or 3 in the morning, but it's not common. How about that? It's not the usual.
Fair enough. And so let's talk about the value. Let's talk about what's included on a typical Oceania, typical Oceania experience, and can we talk about all life and a little bit of that?
Yeah, so Oceania cruises, when we started out, and it was 2003, and the cruise industry was already flourishing. And those of you that have sailed for many years or decades, know that it's been a vibrant industry. But there seemed to be a gap between premium companies that, beautiful brands, like a Holland America or a Celebrity or Princess, and then the ultra luxury brands. And so the point was, why not launch a cruise line that delivers a luxury experience, but at a very small increase in price point, because it wasn't going to, as I shared at the beginning, include everything, that you could choose what you wanted. Having said that, there's so much embedded value in Oceania cruises. Our cruise fare includes free internet. It includes all your specialty dining. The only dining that you'd ever pay for is La Reserve that I shared earlier, and that's only because we don't include alcoholic beverages, and that's a wine pairing. But every restaurant you go to, no cost. No cost for your coffee and tea and water. And I have to say that sounds minimal, but I've recently sailed on business on a beautiful company, but this wasn't included, and I was easily spending $10 a day on my cup of coffee and my bottled water. So in a 10-day cruise, that's $100 per person, so that you don't have to pay for that is huge. And we also have, of course, shuttle service into town, which again can add up. We also offer 24-hour room service. But then we have a special program, O Life Choice, where if you'd like, it would add in your economy air, free air from 26 cities, and also your transfers to and from airport, but then a choice of shore excursion, shipboard credit, or a beverage package. So there's then, some inclusions there, as well. So it's, there's quite a bit that happens. And then if you're a past guest, you have special offers, right? Our Oceania Club members have special offers. And certain levels of the ship have special amenities as well. So I'm not going to get into all of those right now, but we feel like it's important that you come on as a guest with feeling like the value is quite extraordinary.
And it is. So again, your soft drinks and specialty coffees are included. And then if you choose the free beverage package, then that's for alcohol, right? Alcohol.
Correct.
I think like I said, the experience on board is fantastic, and I think the possibility, the choice that clients have of determining, shore excursions are more important for me than the beverage package. That's what I want. Or I just want to spend it on a spa treatment. So let me take the shipboard credit. I think that's amazing. And Harold, you want to share with us? You want to share something else with us?
Yeah, it's on the topic that Nikki's been talking about, and it's a little political, Nikki. So are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Basically, does Oceania offer, the more you travel, you get certain, like your sister cruise line, the more you travel with it, you get certain benefits, like points and or for nights traveled. So if you've traveled 50 nights with Oceania, you get a certain level. Does Oceania do that as well?
Yes, we do. So we have
okay. So then my question, I was hoping you'd say yes. My question, is there any way that someone traveling on your sister line can enjoy that by coming onto you and saying, you know what, they've got 10,000 nights or 5,000 nights, whatever it is, and we will allow them the same benefits or some sort of program between the two companies, that because they are sister companies, why wouldn't that? Because there's a big incentive to stay with one company if you've got dry cleaning and you've got this and you've got that. If you said, you know what, we can do the same because you've been with our sister company as brotherly love, we'll do the same for you.
I absolutely, we've actually talked, it's an excellent question, because we actually have talked internally quite a bit about a reciprocal referral program between, Regent and Oceania. And I'll be very honest with you, it picks up steam, and then it kind of dies down again, and then it picks up steam. So I will, back to my itinerary that I have to create for you, I'm going to put that back on our docket, because it's very true. I think that sometimes, we'd like to keep it in the family, right, in our company. And sometimes we have an itinerary and based on time of year that's more suitable to you than, our sister brand, or vice versa. So at least we give you that. So meanwhile, what I will say is that if any of you are on Regent, have sailed on Regent, multiple times and are looking to try Oceania for the first time, reach out to Carlos and team and let us see what we can do for you, because we'd like to, even though there's not a formal program, we'd like to reward your loyalty in some way.
Good answer. Thanks. I'll do that.
You're very welcome.
Carla, did you hear that?
I did.
and he knows how to track me down. So, and I have witnesses, right? I have witnesses.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Excuse me, Nikki, if I may interrupt. Harold, don't go anywhere yet. I researched what you wanted, Cape Town to Mumbai. Oceania does have it in January of 2023 on the Nautica, January 18th to February 5th. So pack your bags, call up who you deal with at Luxury Cruise Connections, and we'll get you the best value.
Wow.
You're muted, Harold.
That's some fast work there. I like it.
You're welcome. Thank you, Nikki.
You're muted. We can't hear you, my friend.
Harold, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
He's so excited. I found something. That's why.
No, I will go one further. We've researched that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you now.
That's in 2023.
Yeah,
In 2024, they changed it, Cape Town to Dubai.
Oh. And we're
So
looking
that was
for
that's what I'm
24.
trying to, so keep it
Thank
on
you,
your
Steve.
agenda, Nikki.
Okay,
Anytime from 24, 25, 26, 27.
okay.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Fantastic. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Harold. Okay, so I have I have a lot of questions on that chat, and we're gonna get to them right now. But before we do that, I do want to make sure that I share with all of you guys the special that we put together for today. So for those that have joined today's event, and your friends and family and anybody that watches this recording, you should know that you're eligible to receive, one second. Da-da-dum. So we have all of your all of the exclusives and exclusive prepaid gratuities, plus a $200 shipboard credit for any new booking made by December 1st, 2022. Let's talk about those prepaid gratuities for a second, Nikki.
Yes, so because of our fantastic relationship with Luxury Cruise Connections, we do have a select number of sailings every year that have free prepaid gratuities. So I did talk about the extraordinary value that we embed into our voyages and into the Oceania experience. But there are three main things, and again, it's important, again, for everyone to recognize that we do not have included in our fares. The first is alcoholic beverages, which we just talked about. The second is our gratuities and our tips. And the third is your casino donations. So those are not included. So when you gamble, you're on your own. So what we do is we partner with some of our top agencies, including Luxury Cruise Connections, and we'll extend free gratuities when you book with them. So that question I had early on about booking direct with us or not, we're not going to give you gratuities, but Luxury Cruise Connections is on select sailings. But then on any booking you make is the $200 shipboard credit if you book by December 1. And that can be applied to shore excursions, to spa treatments, to boutique purchases, etc.
And then on top of all of this, I want to share with you all that, kind of going back to what Nikki was saying of giving Luxury Cruise Connections and very select agencies some special fares. You should know that we do have an incredible exclusive. One second, I have something that I need to mute. So we do have certain itineraries, certain dates that we have exclusive unpublished rates that are not available anywhere else. In fact, they're so kind of secretive that we can't even publish it on our own website. So these are special unpublished deeply discounted fares that we can share with you over the phone on select sailings. Now, Nikki, I know I'm gonna put you on the spot, but can we give our clients a little bit of an idea kind of what dates are included on those value fares?
So right now on our value fares, we have some of our first quarter, I know it's upon us, but our first quarter exotic destinations. So we have sailings into Asia, a few sailings into South America, a few sailings into, okay, I think that actually covers that. And I think it's really important, Carlos, because I know you're a believer in this too, but our mantra at Oceania is to book early, right? I don't want you to get the feeling like, okay, wait, they have these value fares, so I better hold off and not book early. Our mantra, and I think I saw a question on the chat about this, is the earlier you book, the best offer you're going to have. And I'll get to the value fares in a moment, based on the fact that our philosophy is that we launch our itineraries. So for example, just a few weeks ago, we launched, or we unveiled our itineraries for the 2024-2025 tropics and exotic season, which is November of 24 all the way through May of 25. You can find Oceania Cruises published all the way through May of 25. And when we come out with our new itineraries, it's the time to get the best, stateroom position that you want and the best price. And why I say that is that every quarter, so at the end of every quarter, we take a look at how we're doing on every sailing, and we'll raise the prices on sailings that are doing well. So for example, coming up on January 1st is our next change, and about 60% of our sailings will go up in price. And April 1 will be the next one, then, July 1, etc. And so when you book early, you're already locking in that price, even if there's price increases with Oceania later on. Having said that, there's a reality out there where some sailings sometimes aren't feeling the way we need to, which is when we reach out to, Carlos and team and a few others out there and offer them exclusive savings to extend to their special clients. Having said that, if you're already booked with us, all you have to do is call Carlos and team and say, hey, I just noticed you have this special rate, or is there a special offer? And they tell you, and then we grandfather you. So please know that you're not ever at risk for booking early with Oceania Cruises. The offers that we have that are, a deeper savings are few and far between, because fortunately, knock on wood, we do quite well. So you win either way. But I would say that, and I know Carlos would say this as well, book early, because you're not going to then be shut out of inventory. There's so many times that, Nikki, I'm on a wait list, I can't get on, I want the penthouse and the penthouses are gone. So by booking early, you secure the statement you want.
100%. You get the best both worlds. You get the availability before everybody else books it, and then you get the best. You're guaranteed that you can get the best possible fare away from till it's so. No, that's amazing. So I'm gonna kind of transition over to questions, because I know you guys really want to get your answers on all those questions we have on the chat, and we have a lot of
interaction. I'm ready.
So, okay, here we go. So I'm gonna skip through some that we've already answered, but if you guys feel that we need to dig more into them, stop me, okay? So Robert had a question on a particular itinerary. Robert, I know you're being contacted, so thank you for that. Warren was asking, how does Oceania have string quartet at afternoon tea while Regent does not, both owned by NCLH? So string quartet at afternoon tea.
Well, I guess I win. I get the quartet and they don't. No, I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know why they've chosen not to have a string quartet. So I think it'd be something I can ask my Regent friends. Again, we do try to distinguish each of our brands with different elements, but hey, I would think that tea and quartets go together, right? So I jotted that one down. I'll see what the Regent folks say.
Yeah, you're gonna have a list to share with the team together with Harold's suggestions. So.
Yes, I have that for sure.
I have Joanne asking, given that your parent company NCL has removed all vaccine requirements unless a particular destination requires otherwise, is Oceania considering a similar complete relaxing of vaccine protocols?
So we did discuss that, and we decided, at least for now, that we really weren't ready to go to that, full open, no vaccine policy. Right now, just to make sure everyone knows, if you come to the ship vaccinated, no testing is required. If you are not vaccinated, as long as you show proof of a negative test, you can sail with us. So the testing is required if you're not vaccinated or boosted, and then the individual countries' protocols kick in. So that's a long answer. The shorter one is that I believe we will make that change, just probably not for another, I would say at least three to 6 months after we have the ships sailing out of some of our more exotic destinations.
Cool. So yeah, so I guess some of the other cruise lines have kind of had to start relaxing in order to be able to get to some I guess levels of occupancy and some more exotic destinations, as you say. I mean, it's gonna happen. So thank you for that. And then Robert was asking, undersea ships were just in dry dock and supposedly refurbished. What does that mean? So what does refurbished means? Okay.
Sure. So Riviera, for example, and we'll have more photos and certainly on our website to share with you, but for us, refurbishment sometimes is just the soft goods. This one that we're talking about now for Riviera, and it'll happen for Marina late next year, is completely stripping the ship and actually doing some actual structural changes to the ship as far as like bathrooms that we've talked about. But the whole color palette, those of you that have sailed with us, our ships look gorgeous today, but there are darker, darker woods, darker jewel tone, you know, finishing lighting up to, you know, the soft grays and, you know, dove grays and taupes and mint greens. So just a lighter palette that's more in keeping with today's world. But it truly is everything down to, you know, bare, you know, studs as they call it, and then building up from there.
So not just soft linens and just
No.
everything.
Wall coverings and yeah, and the carpeting and then molding, you know, crown molding and different details.
Wow, cool. Warren was asking, where can we find out the choices and cost of excursions? I can take that. Warren, you can so when you work with Luxury Cruise Connections, you have your advisor that is going to help you plan the cruise. But then once that cruise is booked, then our concierge team starts getting to the picture, and you're basically working with somebody that can help you plan everything around that cruise. So you can ask your personalized concierge vendor to help you out with the excursions and to get you the pricing and to recommend some options and help out with the transfers or the air or whatever it is. So we as a luxury cruise agency, we have that complimentary service to you where not only will you get your cruise booked with the advisor, but that concierge team steps in to help you find all those.
Well, here's the reason I'm asking, because and I've traveled on Regent where the excursions are included for the most part, so you don't have to worry about, do I want a shipboard credit of $1,000, but that'll get chewed up by 2 or 3 excursions, you know, when you've got 10 days, versus if you know in advance, if I'm making a decision between Regent and Oceania, I would want that information before I book.
Right. So with our O-Life choice, I mean, if you decided on the excursions, which it would be depending on your cruise length, 3 excursions, 4 or 5 excursions, then the excursions that are eligible to be used are typically, you have choices of at least 2 or 3 in every port. So it's not like we're, you know, forcing you into just one excursion. And then typically those that are a value of $199 or less. Sorry, I'm the little chat that someone has to get back to work. But essentially we can guide you on that. I will share that we're trying to make it a little bit easier because, and again, Carlos's team, everyone can guide you with that, because there are some excursions that are excluded from that program. And it wasn't intentional, but I think it's gotten a little bit more complicated than we wanted. So one of the major initiatives we're doing as we turn the year is to simplify our value offering for all of you, to make it easier to choose any excursion to apply to our credit. And, you know, you hit on something, you know, our sister brand, which, you know, I always say, if they're not sailing on me, they sail on Regent, I get happy because at least it's part of my company. But it's a choice, right, to have everything taken care of. And know that, you know, you don't have to think about those excursions. The flip side is I've heard some guests say, you know, I really prefer Oceania because as much as Regent does a wonderful job and the excursions are nice, there's a lot of them that aren't my preference. So I'm actually paying for excursions that aren't really what I would want. This way I can choose on Oceania, back to our your world, your way. So either way, there's not in my mind, there's not a good or bad. It's just, you know, preference on which way to go.
Thank you.
And Warren, and that said, when we're planning your cruise, we can very well get you that information as well beforehand, so that you can make it part of your decision-making process. No problem. Like, we'll be happy to provide you with those details. So I know that it's a little bit of a tough question because it varies based on itinerary and many different things. So we kind of choose what do you want to do, where you want to go, and then we'll send you the short excursion list and the different options so you can kind of take a look at the ones you like and whether or not they're included and so forth. So, okay.
Hey, Carlos, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, of course.
It's along the same lines with the excursions, and that is if you're potentially looking at something to make it easier next year, and we've got a book. Let's say we have a cruise booked for August of next year. Should I wait?
No.
Then to book in my excursions?
No, because what our concept of what we're thinking won't, it'll be a choice that you have then to stay with what you booked. and you won't be caught out. You won't be losing, let's call it, value or money, or choose the new option we're coming up with. So I would encourage you not to wait, because I would hate for you to be potentially shut out of something you want to do. And we'll still deliver on what you chose. And then again, if we come up with a different plan, you'll be able to say, okay, well, I like that plan, or no, I like what I had, and I'm going to stick with it.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, and one second. All right, so how was Oceania? I'm sorry, I lost my order here. So I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Nikki, what ship are you on now? Is it the Vista? And do you have discounts for veterans?
So this is the Vista. I'm not on her, unfortunately, quite yet, but yes, this is a rendering of Vista. And we actually, it's nice that you asked. We've been working through a veterans offer or program. I know Norwegian Cruise Line just launched a really beautiful, robust plan recently. And so we're looking to do, I wouldn't say the same, but to offer some specific veteran discounts. Right now, we don't have that, but we're actively looking at it. And thank you for your service if you're asking for yourself.
And then back to Scott. Scott, did we get your question answered about if you
Yes, yeah, $199. Yeah.
Perfect, good. What are Oceania's plans to become more ecologically efficient to be able to continue cruising in areas that are becoming restricted?
So we, as probably many of you know, we eliminated all plastic from our ships, and so it's including plastic bottles. So we have zero water, and we give you an actual glass container, insulated when you come on board to use. We're also going to be carbon neutral.
Okay, and I think he's referring to, like, in the Norwegian fjords, there's some restrictions on CO2 emissions and so forth.
Right, so we're looking to be carbon neutral by 2050. And so we also are retrofitting all of our ships for, oh my gosh, the fuel is eluding me, but anyway, the fuel that is, yes, more expensive, but certainly, well worth saving our oceans by.
NLG, you're probably referring to NLG, natural.
Thank you. God, how terrible, how could I forget? And so once again, that's a huge investment for any cruise company, but everyone recognizes the need to do that. So we have a full environmental study on our website that I can share. Probably I can send it to you and you can make sure it's available. But we are actively all the time looking at environmental. We have an environmental officer on every single one of our ships. So that's another investment, not just to say, oh yeah, we're doing something. He or she actively looks at every single ship, not only from an audit perspective to make sure we're complying as much as we can, but looking at ideas to make sure we can continue to be environmentally sound.
Thank you. Vincent was asking, again, I know we already talked about this, but very quickly, when is the best time of the year to buy cruises, 9 or 12 months before sailing, and how does the best price guarantee work? We already went through this, but Vincent, very quickly, just want to highlight one more time. With the best price guarantee means you always, no matter what promotion comes out, you're always going to be able to take advantage of the best price at the moment. So the best time to book is always as soon as possible. The moment itineraries come out, we always send an email to our clients announcing no itinerary releases. Hold your cabin, put a deposit, and then trust that if that's not the best price between the moment you book and the moment you sell, any other lower rate that might possibly come out, if that happens to be the case, you'll be eligible to take advantage of it. So ASAP is the right answer on that one. And then Kenneth was asking about formal nights. I think you already mentioned it. No formal nights on Oceania cruises.
Yeah.
Robert asking about, do you dock in Jerusalem? You mentioned you do.
Yeah. In Haifa, and we do have several. Those sell really well. Our Holy Land sailings.
So let's be more specific. You don't actually dock neither in Jerusalem nor Tel Aviv. You dock in either Haifa or Ashdod, which
Correct.
Ashdod is just 20-30 minutes away from Tel Aviv. So
correct.
Okay.
And we'll have overnights overnights in Haifa. So it gives you, actually, that was my first time in Israel. So and you can get off the ship and then stay overnight in Jerusalem, so instead of going back and forth, which gives you, even though you're not docked there, at least gives you that experience.
Perfect. Okay, let's get to a tough one. Here's a tough one. Keeping it real here. So Tina is saying, I have read several Facebook posts indicating staffing is not quite at par yet, post-COVID, and as it was pre-COVID. How is your staff recruiting and training going? Any particular challenges you're dealing with, goals? Can you talk a little bit about that? By the way, I want to say this. This has been a reality for the entire, not just cruise industry, but entire hospitality industry. Our company, we do business, great amounts of business, both in hotels, tour companies, land, the hotels and cruise and air. And it's the last summer was to say the least, the most challenging summer we ever had. Airline challenges, hotel challenges, and of course, cruise lines had to go with this incredible pent-up demand of people trying to get on board the ships and having to have dealt with COVID and staffing back at home and so forth. It was certainly a challenge for every single cruise line. So it's good that we bring it up.
Yeah, so I will say we were fortunate when we first came back from the pandemic. There's more than two, but two main things that we did as a company that made me incredibly proud, which was look after our loyal crew during the pandemic with, yes, reduced pay, but some pay, because we recognize that now they found themselves out of work, overnight. And we knew that, back to our Oceania family, that when we sailed again, that would be a very good, not only the right thing to do as an employer, but a very good investment, so that when we sailed again, we had trained staff that our guests knew come back to our ships. So we had over 92% of our staff return to service when we started sailing again, which was extraordinary. I think a testament again to their loyalty, yes, but I think to our company and to their work ethic. Having said that, we definitely have had there's no ship that we've been, let's call it staff less than 90%. But there's been new employees, new crew that we've had to bring on. And we all know, again, being very, transparent, that when you have a new team member, it takes them a little while to get it all right. And that's the blip sometimes we see, not so much that we haven't been able to recruit, but by recruiting, it takes, some experience to get the Oceania way going. Right now, for example, for Vista, we're already, well underway to staff our ships. So if they want to work on Oceania, to be honest with you, I will. That sounds a little bit egotistical, but I think that anyone that's at sea looks to ideally sail with companies that have smaller ships and frankly, a clientele that really appreciates the service that they're delivering.
Yeah, look, when it's a new ship coming on the fleet, you have a lot more time to prepare. But the way everything happened, coming back from the pandemic, it was insane. Just things happened so fast that I think you guys did a pretty good job at restaffing and getting your people back on board. Look, we had a lot of situations throughout this summer where we had clients come back with their feedback. To say the least, right? But I must say, I don't recall a single one, not saying that it didn't happen, and I'm not saying that everything was perfect, but I don't recall any major issues with Oceania. I'm sure there were, just nothing.
Yeah, I would say we're human, right? There's never perfection, but I also think one of the things we did at some lines raced to get their ships in the water, but we had a very methodical return to service. Every ship, it was a month or two later. And that also was to get things back, on track, because even if you're a loyal, crew member that's worked with us for many years, you get rusty, right? I've even muscle memory, okay, how did we do this? So it really was important to give them time to get retrained before we started sailing again.
Perfect. And let's talk about local talent. How often do you bring local talent on the ship?
I would say we probably don't as much as we should. We do it for sure, but it seems to me that we do it in very specific areas. We don't do it often in other areas of the world. So, for example, in New Zealand, we'll have a Maori, tribe come on and do something. Alaska as well sometimes. But then there's other parts of the world that I think it's rare, like in Europe. So it's a good point for me to remind our entertainment folks. So that brings that local vibe, onto the ship.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rick was asking, can we bring a bottle of our own preferred alcohol?
You can bring up to 6 bottles of wine if you'd like to, even though we have a beautiful wine selection on board. There is a corkage fee if you bring your own wine, just, again, make sure that I don't misrepresent. And then alcohol itself, it's only 1 bottle that you can bring on board. I say that, and of course, if you're on a long cruise, like we talked about long cruises before, off the top of my head, I think at a certain point you can bring another bottle, but spirits are a little different than the wine side.
Okay.
If you tell us in advance what you want, I will say that our staff is really quite brilliant of making sure that's stocked for you. So that's another way around. I know that you're really particular about, something that you want and don't want to have to bring it on, or I guess as you're touring, you might find something. Yes, we allow you to bring things on that you buy as you're traveling.
Excellent. And Warren was also asking, can one spouse opt for the alcohol and the other for the shipper credit?
Yes. So it's a per person choice, not a per stateroom choice.
Perfect. And I'm a gold level Regent cruiser, but okay, so there's a comment. Warren was saying there was not a string quartet when he was on Regent. So I guess might have also been a destination, particular to that destination that you were that guest was sailing on. Okay, Stanislav is asking me this on a direct message, asking if I have already prepaid gratuities because of my status, then those prepaid gratuities get converted into onboard credit.
Correct.
Okay.
You just have to let me know, Carlos.
What's that?
You just have to let me know.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
you know what, in my experience, and we were talking about this morning, in my experience, I think it happens automatically, by the way. When somebody, when that additional onboard, that value of prepaid gratuities gets converted into onboard credit, I'm pretty sure it happens automatically, but if it doesn't, we'll let you know.
Right, okay.
Next question. Wait,
Wow, lots of questions, I like it.
Oh, yeah. Juan Salcedo was asking, can I transfer a booking made directly with Oceania to Luxury Cruise Connections?
If we can.
What are the restrictions there, Nikki? Because I know there are some.
Yeah, so we typically, our standard is within 30 days of making your booking. But if it's been longer, then what we do is we take into account when your cruise is. But I'm going to say 90% of the time we transfer it over. And I think I saw a question pop through about the best price guarantee, and Carlos, you might be getting to it, but if there's a different price, if we're still that open to matching or helping through within final payment, which is an excellent question. So within final payment, what we will try to do is work with you to either upgrade you or to offer an onboard credit. But in essence, if you say, I don't want an upgrade, I don't want an onboard credit for the difference, then we do still match that price for you.
Okay, excellent. It makes it, Jerry was saying, it makes us feel better that Oceania screens guests of COVID to make it safer for all. Great. Stan, on your complimentary cruise, we'll take that one offline. We'll follow up with Nikki afterwards. Alan Spears asking, I apologize. Oh, commenting, I apologize. My boss wants me to return to work. And offline, excellent presentation. Carlos, LCC is the best cruise line company to work through I ever used. Amazing, Alan. Thank you very much for that endorsement. Love you. Raymond, if you own 100 shares of NCLH, can I get some shipboard credit on Oceania?
So we do have a shareholder offer. It is a shipboard credit that can be applied, and it's combinable with any of our different promotions. So if you're having trouble applying that, let me know, Carlos and team. But yes, there is a shareholder benefit.
Excellent, thank you. And Harold, thank you for joining us. And Ruben, will glad you like it. Stan, hello, Nikki. During last 3 cruises this year, my favorite ice creams from Humphreys.
Oh, Humphreys Slocum.
Apparently problem with suppliers. When will they be back?
Yes, they're back. They're back. They're back.
Yes.
I actually, let me rephrase that. I don't know if they're back fleet-wide, but I know they're back on 2 of our ships and hopefully by all fleet within the next month. But yes, that's a very, for those of you, it's a very small batch artisanal ice cream shop out of California, Northern California, and they make the most extraordinary flavors. Like there's one with bourbon and cereal, like bourbon breakfast. You know, there's also one that they did especially for us called Regatta Royale. So anyway, so they're going to be back fleet-wide within the next few months.
Excellent, excellent. And Stan over there saying, I've taken 3 cruises with Oceania this year, and I think service it was superb. Sometimes was better before COVID. Okay, good.
Wow, thank you.
Leslie asking on the corkage fee.
Yes. How much is it?
Yes. What is it?
It's $25. Having said that, we're looking at that as well. My recommendation has been that if you're buying our beverage package, that we should either waive the corkage fee or actually reduce it because you're already, you know, purchasing a beverage package but choosing to bring on, you know, your own wine. But the standard right now is $25.
Okay, fantastic. One more question about the ice cream. Is it on the Sirena right now?
Oh, I might have to get back to you on that. I'll check. I know we have rolled it out on 2 ships, but I don't know if Sirena is one of them. So I will find out and get back to the team. They'll get back to you.
Stanislav is going on the Sirena tomorrow, so he'll probably let us know. Stan, if you see it, make sure you send us a picture with it. I'll share it. Hopefully it is. And Scott was asking, and does the corkage fee apply to wine that you save for us in your room?
No. It's only wines that you might buy off the ship that you bring on board.
Right. Okay. So you can bring, okay, and you can buy any wine at any of the ports. If you happen to, you know, buy, you know, like one of the local wines or whatever, you can bring it on board. As long as you don't open it, you're good, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And we kind of not want you to do that, but I know that especially if you're traveling in Europe, you know, you're going to go to vineyards. We take you to vineyards actually on our excursion. You want to buy a bottle or 2, so you can absolutely bring it on board, no questions asked. And then of course, though, the corkage fee applies when you're opening it in a restaurant. So actually, I should say that if you're opening it in your stateroom, you know, no one's hunting you down to charge you a corkage fee. It's more that if you go to a restaurant, right, and you'd like to enjoy your wine over your meal, then that's when the corkage fee would kick in.
Yes, correct. It only applies on the restaurant. Okay, wow. I went through all these questions in record time because I was feeling you know, a little anxious that I was going way over time, but it's been fun, and wow, we covered a lot.
Yeah.
Nikki, how you doing with time? Do we have
I was going to say I do have to jump off by 4:30, which I know means only 2 more minutes.
Exactly.
But it's been fantastic to get to know everyone. I love the questions and the comments, which means you're, you know, engaged, and certainly we hope once I sort out the Cape Town to Mumbai that you will all come sail on Cape Town to Mumbai. You know, truly hope that we can see you on board. Take advantage of that $200 shipboard credit that you'll receive by booking by December 1. But we also have a Black Friday sale, Carlos. So, you know, you can check that out. It starts on the 22nd. It starts in just 5 short days.
Starts on 22nd. And one more time, I'm going to tell everybody, hey, there might be a Black Sale offer coming up, but book now, and then we'll get to the Black Friday offer next week. Like, don't wait till everybody else is booking on that Black Friday offer, because then your availability and your preferred cabin is not there. So get your cabin, put a deposit, and then we'll apply the Black Friday offer next week as well.
We will work it out.
Listen, Nikki, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate your time. Very much appreciate the partnership. You know this, we've been doing business together for a long time, and it's just a joy and a pleasure with you, Jill, the team, everybody at Oceania does an incredible job at you know, helping us make clients happy and make just everything go so smoothly. You know, we appreciate that very much. It makes our life that much easier. And we continue to, continue to look forward to an amazing rest of the year, amazing 2023 and 24, putting our guests on board your ships, because I know that, I know they're going to have an amazing time. Very excited about what's to come with Oceania. I'm sure that we're going to have an opportunity to do this again, hopefully after Vista comes out and we can actually have not a rendering, but a real picture of you sitting there. At the,
That's right.
and that's it. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. The feeling's mutual. We appreciate everything you do for us, and to everyone here. We, as I said, hope to welcome you on board one of our ships very, very soon. So take care and happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving, Nikki. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you. Amazing.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.